My daughter Lauren was born in June of 1981, a happy, healthy baby. She was attaining all her developmental milestones and, with her contagious smile, appeared to love life. In January of 1982, at the age of 7 months, Lauren's world disintegrated. One morning, I found her lying in her crib, blue and limp. I was unable to identify the strange things that began happening to her body. One side stiffened, she made strange guttural sounds, frothed at the mouth, and her eyes rolled back in her head. The emergency room doctors were quick to identify these frightening and abnormal behaviors as seizures. She was given several potent medications, but continued to have at least 6 seizures a day. After a month in the hospital, Lauren was sent home, having lost many of her newfound skills, very withdrawn and sedated, and still having daily seizures. After a life filled with special education, therapy, hospitalizations, surgeries, and doctor visits, Lauren's future is grim. Her brain is damaged. Her seizures, still poorly controlled, come frequently and with no warning. Lauren lives in fear of the next seizure. So do we.
For years, Lauren would have flurries of seizures, and I remember her more than one occasion grabbing Susan's hand and saying, "Mom, can't you make them stop?" And I remember how devastating that was for Susan because she couldn't make them stop. And that was, I think, so much of the motivation for this organization. I don't think she wanted any other mother to have to say, "I can't make these seizures stop."
I think 100% of cure came out of the frustration that we were having as parents. We were all desperate. We were all desperate.
Susan and I stood at a wake of a little girl holding a doll and thought, this cannot go on, and people have to know what's happening. And we have to say, our children have epilepsy. They might die. Their minds might be destroyed. And there are people with epilepsy who are not severely impacted, but there are that 1/3 who will suffer for their entire lives.
What I think is most admirable about Susan is she took that parental instinct and realized that there was a lot more to be done, not just for her child, but for other people's children who are afflicted with epilepsy.
It's hard on everybody when you have a sibling or daughter or son or cousin or friend with epilepsy, and so I know she wasn't just doing it for my sister, but really it was for everyone who knows anybody who has epilepsy.
Susan had taken personal anguish and translated it into activism. Policymakers, by scientists, by researchers, by the larger community, but most of all by those suffering from epilepsy and their families, because really this work is for them.
They have changed the debate about epilepsy in a really profound way. I think people now understand that 20,000 people a year die from this, that hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people live horrible lives and their families are impacted by this, and that there needs to be a cure.
At a time when it's been difficult to pry research dollars out of Washington, at a time when we're cutting back on basic science, for CURE to be able to surgically identify the most promising researchers, provide them with seed money, get the process of researching a cure going, that can help us then leverage larger resources from the federal government.
Without cure, I can tell you many of the ideas will never be materialized, will never become a reality or a project that can lead to significant finding.
She has walked the halls of the Senate and the House of Representatives and talked to representatives and senators and got them committed to trying to help because of her passion. which is way beyond what you get from lobbyists and lawyers. So Susan has made a difference.
When Susan first started talking about cure, I really got this sense of excitement that there was a group of people that really were providing some hope for the future, that focusing on research and focusing on a cure was the only way that we could provide some kind of future for our son as well as the children that are coming after him.
It is natural and essential to grieve the loss of a normal family life and the loss of Lauren's potential. After all these years, our grief has finally taken us to a healthy place where we are determined to make a difference. Perhaps we will not be able to make a substantial difference for Lauren, but we are determined to make life better for at least one child with epilepsy, and that will be Lauren's legacy.